What if the sky began to tear open above us and you discovered that the Bible had already described every detail, yet almost no one talks about it? Revelation chapter 6 is not just about the future. It's a mirror of the present, reflecting wars, crises, and disasters already surrounding us. We live in a time where everything feels unstable. News of conflicts, collapsing economies, pandemics that paralyze the world, floods and fires that wipe out lives in seconds. Many say these are just coincidences, but what if they're not? This video is not about fear, it's about revelation. Because if the seals are opening before us, every detail matters. From the white horse that deceives to the red of war, the black of famine, and the pale yellow of death. They are not just ancient symbols, they still ride today. Get ready for a rare journey, where forgotten prophecies come to life and may change the way you see the present and the future that is already drawing near. If you love to uncover the scriptures and see what few dare to reveal, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss the upcoming videos. Thank you so much for being here. When the first seal was broken, John saw a white horse appear, and its rider held a bow. At first glance, its appearance may deceive. White suggests purity, but its mission is conquest and deception. The same happens today, when charismatic voices rise up promising hope, but sow spiritual confusion. It's like that miracle cure advertised in the midst of despair. It seems to bring healing, but behind it hides poison. The white horse warns us that not all light comes from God, and that the counterfeit of truth is just as dangerous as an outright lie. Next comes the red horse, bringing war and bloodshed. Not only world wars, but also battles that arise in homes, in relationships, in communities. A cursed word, a buried grudge, and suddenly, a battlefield opens between people who once loved each other. The red horse reveals that violence doesn't begin on the battlefield, but in the human heart. Every time we let hatred take over, it rides among us once again. The third seal reveals a black horse with a rider holding a scale. The image is clear: famine, inequality, injustice. We've seen this throughout history: collapsed markets, families without bread, while a few hoard wealth in abundance. Think of the long lines during times of inflation, when desperate mothers held worthless coins, unable to buy food for their children. This horse exposes a world out of balance, where greed outweighs human life. It makes us ask, in times of scarcity, will we become hardened or generous? Then comes the pale horse, yellowish like death. Its rider does not come alone. He brings plagues, epidemics, and destruction. Those who lived through times of pandemic know the invisible terror that spreads like a shadow. News of crowded hospitals, silent streets, families separated by fear. Each scene echoed the gallop of this horse. It reminds us of our fragility, of the brevity of life, and how even the simplest breath can be lost in an instant. These four horsemen are not just distant symbols. They cross through history, repeat themselves in the present, and infiltrate our own lives. The deception that seduces, the war that destroys, the famine that oppresses, the death that silences, all still ride around us. And that is precisely why John's vision is so powerful. It's not just a warning for the future, it's a mirror revealing who we are and where we are. But if these four are already loose among us, what greater revelation awaits in the next seal? When we look back, we realize that human history is like a constant echo of the seals. The world wars, for example, were the deafening roar of the red horse. The sound of bombs, the screams on the battlefields, entire cities reduced to ashes. It all felt like the relentless gallop of this rider. And even after the ceasefire, the tears of mothers and the void left in families showed that the spilled blood would not fade so soon. Revolutions and economic collapses were like the heavy steps of the black horse. Imagine workers receiving their wages in the morning, only to find out by evening that it was already worthless. The clinking of useless coins, the empty shelves, children crying from hunger while a few amassed fortunes. The scale in the rider's hand doesn't just measure bread. It weighs the injustice that spreads when inequality becomes the norm. The pale horse also left its mark through centuries of plagues and epidemics. The Black Death turned vibrant cities into silent deserts, where only the sound of bells announced another life lost. In modern times, we've seen empty streets, crowded hospitals, the smell of alcohol on every corner, and fear etched on every face. These scenes are reminders that the shadow of death has never ceased to ride, ready to remind humanity of its fragility. But the deception of the white horse may be the most treacherous of all. Leaders and ideologies that promised justice and peace raised bright banners but hid chains of slavery. Fiery speeches seduced crowds, while in practice they spread oppression and lies. The deceptive shine of this rider is still alive. It appears in easy promises, in quick fixes, but in the end leaves only spiritual emptiness. Thus, history reveals itself as an endless cycle. Wars, famine, plagues, and deception rise like old wounds reopened with each generation. It's as if humanity cannot break free from this pattern, repeating the same mistakes in a painful circle that never ends. Each century brings new settings, but always the same shadows. If the past and present already carry the signs of the first seals, what will happen when the heavens themselves begin to move, and the cosmic signs of the sixth seal appear before our eyes? When the sixth seal is opened, Revelation describes a scene that seems to tear the boundaries of the imaginable. John speaks of a great earthquake, the sun turning black, the moon like blood, stars falling, and the sky itself rolling up like a scroll. Imagine the ground shaking beneath your feet, the air heavy with dust, the sun hidden plunging everything into darkness, and the moon staining the horizon red. It's such a vivid picture that it can't be read without a deep shiver. Earthquakes are perhaps the most tangible sign. Anyone who's experienced one knows the fear that creeps in when what should be solid becomes liquid. The sound of cracking walls, the thunder of collapsing buildings, the screams of people running through the streets, every detail echoes the dread John described. And in our days, we've seen entire cities reduced to rubble in seconds, reminding us that the earth is not under our control, but in the hands of the Creator. The darkened sun and blood-red moon find parallels in eclipses and celestial phenomena that, though explained by science, still awaken fear. How many are amazed to see day turn into night at midday? How many are unsettled by the sight of a red moon hovering in the sky like a sign of judgment? For some, mere natural events. For others, signs that the heavens speak louder than men dare admit. The falling stars also echo in the meteors streaking across the skies. There have been nights when fireballs crossed the horizon, causing awe and silence in the crowds who watched. But John goes further. He speaks of the sky rolling up like a scroll, something we have no way of explaining. It's a vision that surpasses logic, projecting before us an image of a universe bending before the Creator. And as if that weren't enough, we see all of nature stirred, wildfires painting the sky red, storms devastating cities, floods swallowing villages in minutes. Creation seems to cry out, as if it can no longer bear the weight of human corruption. These signs are not just accidents, they are reminders that prophecy connects to the real world. Each event is a distant echo of something greater, a rehearsal for a judgment that draws near. If today we already tremble at such small reflections, what will it be like when the sixth seal is fully fulfilled, when it's not just an eclipse, but the sky itself tearing open before our eyes? Our days seem to carry the weight of a storyline written centuries ago, Economic crises arise like invisible earthquakes, shaking entire nations. Banks shut their doors overnight. Families watch a lifetime of savings vanish in a matter of hours. The desperate sound of crashing stock markets and the silence of homes without bread echo like the black horse galloping through the halls of modernity. Coincidence? Or a direct reflection of what John had already seen? Tensions between nations sound like constant thunder. News of disputed borders, tanks advancing, drones in the sky, and speeches heavy with threats. Every detail seems like the red horse on the move once more. It's as if peace were a thread about to snap, and all it would take is a spark to set the world ablaze. Anyone watching the headlines feels the same anguish described in Scripture. There will be wars and rumors of wars. But prophecy echoes not only on the battlefield. In the streets, crowds cry out for justice, holding signs, raising their voices, but often plunging into even deeper divisions. The promise of equality mixes with the reality of new conflicts. It's the human heart in turmoil, as if the white horse had donned modern masks, dazzling ideologies that promise salvation but may hide new chains. Meanwhile, science records signs in the heavens. Telescopes reveal eclipses that turn day into night, red moons hanging on the horizon, meteors streaking across the sky in flames. For scientists, predictable phenomena. For those attuned to prophecy, reminders that the heavens still speak. The contrast is clear. Science explains the mechanism, but prophecy reveals the meaning. What's most unsettling is seeing all these signs happening almost simultaneously. Unstable economies, global tensions, social uprisings, natural disasters, and restless skies. It's as if loose puzzle pieces were falling into place before our eyes. The picture is not complete yet, but the silhouette is clear. And deep down, it feels like we're not just watching history, we're part of it. Is all this merely coincidence, or are we, without realizing it, living the dress rehearsal for a judgment that draws near? The inevitable question echoes, where in this storyline are we now? September 2025 is not just another page on the calendar. It is a time marked by instability, potential wars, environmental catastrophes, and a collective sense that the world is always on the brink of collapse. With every headline, it feels like the book of Revelation is gaining new lines before our eyes. And we're not talking about a distant future, we're talking about today, the present you are breathing. But Revelation wasn't written to sow fear, but to awaken vigilance. It's like the sound of a trumpet cutting through the silence, calling everyone to wake up from distraction. Each broken seal doesn't just show judgment, it also gives a warning. We're not living by chance, we're not walking without purpose. There is an invisible script, and each of us is part of it, whether we like it or not. Living in this setting doesn't mean giving in to despair, but learning to look beyond appearances. It's like sailing through a storm at sea. Those who focus only on the waves despair. Those who keep their eyes on the lighthouse find direction. Faith is that lighthouse. It's not about denying reality, but interpreting it with discernment, realizing that even chaos can be a sign that prophecy is being fulfilled. And if prophecy is alive, our choices also carry eternal weight. Generosity in times of scarcity, integrity in times of deception, peacemaking in times of hatred. All of these are seeds the Creator records. A word of comfort, an act of justice, a gesture of love may be more prophetic than we imagine. In that sense, each of our actions is like a personal seal opening before God. Even in the midst of shadows, Revelation points to the victory of the Lamb. The contrast is intentional. The world trembles, but the promise stands firm. While some despair, others can find hope, not because they are strong in themselves, but because they are anchored in something unshakable. The final victory has already been declared, and prophecy doesn't end in despair, but in redemption. And what if the question is no longer, when will the end come? But how will you position yourself before it? That may be the most urgent question of all, a question that cannot be postponed to tomorrow. The seals are not just ancient symbols. They are like open windows revealing the invisible storyline of history. Wars, crises, deception, even the skies that seem to speak, all remind us that we are not living in ordinary days. Revelation is not gathering dust on the pages of the Bible. It breathes among us. The real question isn't just when these prophecies will be fully fulfilled, but how will you position yourself now? Will you keep treating them as coincidences, or will you see them as divine invitations to awaken? Neutrality is also a choice, and ignoring the call is in itself a response. Every gesture carries eternal weight, truth in the midst of deception, generosity in times of scarcity, peace in days of war. Every act is like a seed sown before the Lamb who leads history. And while the world trembles, hope remains firm, because the final victory has already been declared. So I ask you, if the seals are already echoing among us, what will you do with this revelation? Will you hide in the shadows of fear, or walk with open eyes toward the promise? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe we are already living Revelation 6, or merely repeating the patterns of humanity? I want to hear your answer. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, and leave a like. Keep reflecting on what you've seen here. And may God bless you, bringing discernment, courage, and hope to every step of your journey. Amen.